By far, easily one of the most anticipated games is Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's next adventure, and this is a game that was first revealed in 2012, and it was followed up by a reveal trailer in early 2013. But since then, we've gotten very little details, but what we have heard is very interesting, such as the game will be featuring complex vehicles, it'll be much bigger than The Witcher 3, and as studio head Adam Badowski has described, Cyberpunk 2077 needs to be even better, even bigger, even more revolutionary than what had originally been planned, and that's probably going with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's huge scope and the success it had. But that's just a small summary of some of the details that have come about over the years. If you've not been staying up to date, there will be links in the description with everything you need to know about Cyberpunk 2077 and what's been said from CD Projekt Red. Nonetheless, even though CD Projekt Red has made it clear that this year is being dedicated to Gwent, that has not stopped Cyberpunk creator Mike Pondsmith from talking about Cyberpunk 2077, and recently he was interviewed by Game Lab, where he discussed some of the classes we'll have in the game and the development of this upcoming role-playing game. But as we go through this interview, I'll be breaking down the importance of Mike's comments and what it means. Anyway, here's our latest update on Cyberpunk 2077.
Do you think that, because of course traditional role-playing game is all about fantasy, imagination, players imagining being there, but do you think that's going to be realized in a virtual environment with a video game?
Yeah, well, the thing is that Cyberpunk is kind of made for doing a video game. And from the beginning, I thought about it, but we didn't have the technology to really pull it off. Nobody did. And what we've now gotten is, it's like the first days of movies. We now have the equivalent of Technicolor film and really good sound and CinemaScope and all that. So now we can concentrate on doing stuff that will be really cool. My favorite CDPR story, I walked in at one point, and they were working on Witcher 3. And one of the guys said, "Yeah, let me show you something we can do." And he said, "It's fall." And he showed me this screen, and it was like this hillside and forest and a whole bunch like that. And he procedurally, by punching one button, generated not just the hillside and the wind, but animals and pathways and all this stuff, just bam. And he said, "Want to see it in winter?" Bam. And the processing power involved was astounding.
How has it been like working with CD Projekt Red in terms of logistics, traveling back and forth, and how are you working on this Cyberpunk video game?
What's interesting is it actually goes both ways. I go over to Poland at least like 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times a year. We used to, in the early days when we were starting, have like weekly and sometimes multiple weekly long-distance Skype conversations with the whole team, and we'd all be, looking at bad cameras early in the morning and talking. And then they, in turn, members of the team come out, and we meet with them out in Seattle as well. And in fact, about 5-6 months ago, one of the production managers, who actually, I guess he's a producer now, and he came out, and he and I spent a week just beating on ideas and experimenting and asking questions, and he just got everything I knew about it, and we worked out how to do it, what things were important in the game, what was going to feel right.
As Mike has said, over the years he's been approached multiple times about making Cyberpunk into a video game, but CD Projekt Red was the developer that blew him away, which is why he felt that they would be the best team to bring his image alive. So it certainly is nice to hear that his vision is being realized.
What can you tell us of that vision being realized?
The vision is really pretty close to what I had in my head years ago. What was actually funny was when they did the trailer that everyone's seen now, I looked at it and said, "Oh my God, that's like perfect." And there were all these little weird touches from the game that were in the background because they're fans. So I look at it and go, "Oh wow, they really did that. That's awesome." So the feeling has stayed the same, and we've also been developing it and continually developing it to keep that feeling because they're fans too.
But again, this is just another great statement from Mike saying that Cyberpunk 2077 will stay true to its source material, and that CD Projekt Red have done a great job at creating what he imagined Cyberpunk could be in a video game. A lot of what Mike says in this interview is just how great it has been working with CDPR on this, and how he's impressed with the technology being used to create this futuristic world of Night City. With all kinds of rumors of problems within the development, I think it's nice to hear from the creator himself that he likes what he's seeing and the game is coming along great. And for us fans, I think it kind of reassures confers that while CD Projekt Red are going to be taking a long time on Cyberpunk 2077, it'll probably be worth it once it finally releases. And I mean, obviously they've already been working on this for probably about a half a decade now, but it does still seem we are far from getting a release. Although I think most of us would agree while we're dying for another role-playing game from CD Projekt Red, we're willing to wait as long as the game is a masterpiece like The Witcher 3 ended up being like.
One thing I find really interesting about the game is the classes. There are rock stars, the journalist class, executive class. Can we really expect that to be in the game? Or would you like...
Yes, you can. They're all going to be there, but I can't tell you more than you're going to find some surprises about how we've done it. And I think you're really going to like it. There's a lot of subtlety going on there. And Adam and I spent literally, like I said, a whole week messing with some of the ways of implementing that, so you get the most feel for your character.
It's really great. It's really great that we journalists are finally getting a class into video games.
Yep. Well, you don't have a headset. You've got a guy over there carrying a camera, but it's a matter of time.
Now this is one of the most interesting parts of this interview, because years ago when it was first announced, Marcin Nowinski briefly discussed that like many role-playing games, we will have choice in who we are within the open world of Night City.
Different character classes to choose from, so be it a netrunner or solo, and don't take my word for it, I'm not right now announcing the classes we'll have actually in the game. This will be announced at a later stage, but basically you'll be able to play the character you want, you'll be able to customize the character. So that's a big change from the Witcher games, and I think it really makes perfect sense for a Cyberpunk game.
Fast forward to these new comments from Mike. Well, it sounds like a lot of Cyberpunk 2020's character classes will be brought into Cyberpunk 2077. So here's a better understanding of what I mean. Some of the character classes in Cyberpunk 2020 included ROCKERBOYS, who are described as rebel rockers who use music and revolt to fight authority. Solos are hired assassins, bodyguards, killers, and soldiers. Netrunners are cybernetic computer hackers. Techies are renegade mechanics and doctors. The media, or journalists as referred to in this interview, are newsmen and reporters who go to the wall for the truth. Cops are maximum lawmen on mean 21st century streets. Corporates are slick business raiders and multimillionaires. Fixers are the deal makers, smugglers, organizers, and information brokers. And lastly, nomads are road warriors and gypsies who roam the highways. These are most of the character classes, but there are a few more, but from what it sounds like, we'll see some changes to these classes in Cyberpunk 2077, but for the most part, the identities of these classes will stay the same.
What can we expect in terms of differences between both games without telling too much?
Between Cyberpunk or...
Yeah, Cyberpunk and The Witcher.
Oh, The Witcher. Well, the technology, what they're taking is Witcher's technology curve, which was staggering anyway, and they're just building on it. They're just adding new, cooler things to it, which I think is, the way to go. They have with the Red Engine, they have just some amazing techniques they can do.
These final comments from Mike really just emphasizes what we've heard before and what I mentioned at the beginning. CD Projekt Red is going to be pushing the boundaries, and I really can't imagine how beautiful and active Night City is going to look. But other than these comments from Mike Pondsmith, CD Projekt Red continue to hire new positions that will be a part of this next adventure. I've discussed some of these before, but the environmental artist job listing is described as the individual will create a wide range of photorealistic environments and futuristic settings, covering also physicalized objects and destruction models, which clearly is teasing at destructible environments. Say as you wish, but the world of Witcher 3 felt very unique. Not many games can truly immerse you so well, and while The Witcher 3 was far from perfect, it hopefully will be much more improved in Cyberpunk 2077. But some of the other positions that CD Projekt Red are currently seeking are character artists, level designers, cinematic animators, and build engineers. As the studio heads of CD Projekt Red have stated, Cyberpunk 2077 is featuring a much bigger team, and as the game is entering into its biggest part of development, the team continues to grow. It does seem that here in 2017 we've heard a lot more about Cyberpunk 2077, at least compared to the near silence we've had since the debut trailer. While I think all of us understand secrecy, hopefully it's not too far from us getting some actual new images or trailers of what this futuristic world of Night City will be like. All the things we've heard from Mike Pondsmith to Marcin Nowinski to Mikhail Kaczynski to Adam Badowski over the years has me convinced that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a special adventure whenever they decide it's ready for us to explore. Anyway guys, thank you for joining me. If you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, make sure to smack that like button and let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on Mike Pondsmith's new comments on Cyberpunk 2077. Also consider subscribing to stay up to date on everything Cyberpunk 2077, and I'll see you later.